Alright guys, this is a video with a crash course in how to use your calculator to find mins, maxes, and zeros. So what we have is an example from the notes. I think this was day 3. Let me see. Is this day 3? Whoops. Yes, whoops, it kind of skipped ahead of me. Yeah, day 3. So from our day 3 notes, I'm going to do example 1. I have my calculator right here, and you can see that I've already plugged in my function. And if I do a zoom 6, which will always pull up your standard window for you, zoom 6 is your quick fix, you'll see that nothing too much is happening in this, which is an issue because you obviously want to see what the function looks like. So what I always say is look at your table of values to get an idea of what's happening. So you can see that at x equals 1, we're in the 400s, which is why you're not seeing anything. It even goes so high as like 816, and then it starts to go down. So in my window, I would change my y maxes to maybe like 1000. I always overestimate, just to see if I can capture that max. And I do. Now, based on my knowledge of this being a cubic function, I know it should start to look like that roughly. So I'm not seeing the whole function. So maybe I'll extend my x's. I'll go like 20 on my x maxes to get an idea. And since I went 1000 above the y in the y-axis, maybe I should do negative 1000 in the y-axis. There you go. That's a decent window of what my function looks like. I have no magic formula for how to adjust your window in your calculator, guys, but I can tell you that you can use your table to help you. So what I'm going to do over here is sketch a picture of what this looks like. Oh, the horrible axis. Okay, so we look something like that. Now the first thing we need to determine are the zeros. Okay, anytime we're finding zeros or mins or maxes, we're going to go to second trace, and that pulls up our calculate screen. Since I'm looking for a 0, I'll select 0. Let's say I want to find this one right here, this x-intercept. You'll see I have the question left bound. What that means, whoa, come back calculator. I need to get to the left of the intercept I'm trying to find and hit enter, and you'll see the arrow pinching inward. Okay, then I'll get to the right of it, hit enter again, and you'll see I have 2 arrows that are pinching inward in an area which captures the intercept I'm trying to locate. When it says guess, I'll just hit enter again, and the cursor should land where the first intercept is, which in this case is 0, 0. So my first intercept, which was pretty easy to tell, is at 0. And so I'd repeat this process to find the other ones. So second trace, option 2, max. You can also hit enter, or hit a value and enter to get a left bound, which actually was probably too close. Let me do that again. Okay, so I could hit like x equals 8 and that would give me a value here, but I can just move my cursor to the left of the intercept I'm trying to find. Go just to the right of it. And that's 10, 0. So this is 10. And then lastly, get to the left, get to the right. 12.5. Okay. Now, 2 of those zeros were really easy to see, and they also would show up in your table. An x value will happen, or an x-intercept will happen anywhere y is equal to 0. So you'll see in the table of values when x equals 0, y equals 0. That's why we have a y, or an x-intercept there. If I scroll through my table, you'll see at x equals 10, y equals 0 again, so that corresponds to the second 0 I found. And you won't see the 12.51 because in your table of values, you're only going by integer values. So that's where I really needed to use the second trace feature in my calculator to locate my to locate my x-intercepts. Okay. Something else you need to locate is your y-intercept. Now, in this case, it's pretty clear that it's at 0, but just to show you, your y-intercept occurs anywhere where x is equal to 0. So in my calculator, if I do second trace value, it's prompting you with what x value would you like me to find. So I will plug in x equals 0, and it should give me the corresponding y value. And it does. At x equals 0, my y-intercept is 0. So again, keep in mind that your y-intercept also happens to be occurring at that 0. As far as mins and maxes go, I'll go to find my max. I will pick option 4 for a maximum. The same, oopsies, second trace option. Something got messed up here. Okay, the questions are the same. Left bound. If I want to capture this maximum, I could use x equals 0 as a left bound. Since I know the intercept over here is 10, I could use 10 as a right bound. And you'll see that by me pressing in those values, I actually can set the arrows to capture the inside, or you could just use these side-to-side arrows to capture the maximum as well. Either way, when you set your bounds, you want the arrows to pinch in on the maximum you're trying to capture. When it says guess, we can just hit enter again. And there we go, 3.681. And 820.528. Okay, and we'll do the exact same thing for the minimum. So second trace minimum, which is option 3. I will get to the left of the min, get to the right of the min. So you'll see that I'm pinching in on that minimum value, and I'm getting 11.319. And negative 70.528. Okay, now what I've stated in each of these max and mins are the coordinate points. If the problem prompts you for the min or max value, technically it only wants the y. Okay, but for the sake of labeling here, I've just listed the coordinates of it. Okay, now the coordinates are helpful for when you talk about your increasing and decreasing, positive, negative. So for the sake of this problem here, from left to right, we are increasing on that interval. So from negative infinity to 3.681. And we're increasing again on the interval of 11.319, which is this x value, to infinity. You are decreasing from 3.681 to 11.319. Okay. Remember, positive is above the x-axis, so you are positive in the interval of 0 to 10 and 12.5 to infinity. And then you are negative from the interval of negative infinity to 0 and 10 to 12.5. Okay. So, I mean, I quickly went through those vocabulary words in the last part of that, but the most important thing here in this video is just making sure you guys know how to use your calculator to find your zeros, to find your mins and maxes. So hopefully that helped.